Trick-or-treating. To someone who isn't aware of different Halloween traditions, the phrase trick-or-treating can sound kind of crazy. It might sound like a threat, and it would definitely be walking away scratching your head. Trick-or-treating are when children walk around their neighborhood on Halloween night, knock on their neighbor's door, and ask for candy. These children are usually costumed, and they're out between the time of 6 and 8 p.m. As we go further along, we'll dive into these subjects a little bit deeper. So what is trick-or-treating? Trick-or-treating is exactly what I just explained. It's when kids walk around their neighborhood, knock on their neighbor's door, and ask for candy. This happens on the night of October 31st. According to an article on HowStuffWorks.com written by Tom Harris, for children, dressing up and trick-or-treating door-to-door is still the main event. Most households in the US and Canada participate, and those who don't run the risk of petty vandalism. Many adults dress up themselves and go out with their children. So the part about petty vandalism is something that's slowly going by the wayside as time goes on. It's definitely more about candy now than the tricks part of trick-or-treating. So trick-or-treating, the costumes. The costumes that people wear on trick-or-treat are to display creativity. According to an article posted on Parents.com by Holly Rossi on October 21st, 2014, Halloween costumes in America are a way to display creativity and fantasy with disguises that are hair-raising, cute, royal, cartoonish, magical, realistic, and more. Many families end up buying their Halloween costumes at a store. A lot of stores pop up around the fall time in America, or some people order them online. There's also a group of people that make their own costumes. They take on that task of making their costumes, their family's costumes, their friends' costumes, whatever the case may be. It all is part of that displaying creativity piece that we mentioned before. The trick-or-treating time. So trick-or-treating, like I mentioned before, typically happens between 6 and 8 p.m. According to an article on History.com that talks about the history of why Halloween is celebrated at night, Celts believed that on the night before the New Year, celebrated on November 1st, the boundary between the worlds of the living and the dead became blurred. So obviously the start to this whole thing went all night, but as time went on, the times were reduced to make more sense for the catered group that Halloween is for, which is kids. At 6 o'clock, at that point, it's dark outside, so you get the effect of the lights and the jack-o'-lanterns and the different costumes and whatever else lights up that you can see at night. And it's late enough to make it feel nighttime, but it doesn't affect like neighbors who maybe not want to be bothered by it. It's not late enough to where, like, if Halloween were to end up on a school night, that kids wouldn't be out all night and be tired the next day for school. So, in conclusion, trick-or-treating is when children walk around their neighborhoods. They ask their neighbors for candy. These kids are usually costumed, and they're out between 6 and 8 p.m. So now that you know all about trick-or-treating, you can use that information and use it for the next month, because Halloween is only a month away. So it was a timely talk.